Welcome back to the MRP Easy Manufacturing Podcast. In this episode, we'll give a practical guide to stock taking. Let's get started. Stock taking is the process of physically counting all inventory items to verify that your actual stock matches what your records show. Walk into any small manufacturing shop and ask the owner how much inventory they have. You'll probably get a confident answer based on their computer system. But then, ask them to prove it by actually counting what's on the shelves. That's when things get interesting. A thorough stock take covers everything from the raw materials sitting in your receiving dock to the finished products ready for tomorrow's shipment. Some parts wait in labeled bins, while others sit half-finished on assembly tables. Don't forget those maintenance supplies scattered across different storage and stockroom areas. Missing any category means your count won't reflect reality. That could lead to stockouts or, at the very least, incorrect stock levels. Now, you might be wondering what the difference is between stock taking and inventory management. Here's where many small manufacturers get confused. A stock take captures a single moment, like taking a snapshot. Inventory management is much more comprehensive, tracking the constant flow of materials through your operation. Your stock take results become the reality check that keeps your inventory system honest. When these two align, you can actually trust your computer when it says you have enough parts to finish next week's orders. Why is stock taking important? Small manufacturers who skip regular stock taking often learn expensive lessons. Your tax preparer needs real numbers, not wishful thinking from outdated computer records. Production stops when workers discover the raw material you thought you had doesn't match the physical inventory count. Customers get frustrated when promised delivery dates slip because nobody knew the part shortage was coming. Stock taking also catches problems before they become disasters. Materials disappear through damage, miscounting, or shrinkage. Equipment workflow breaks down when maintenance supplies run out unexpectedly. Regular counting sessions reveal these issues, while you can still fix them without major disruption. Ask any manufacturing owner about their biggest headaches, and inventory levels usually make the top three. Most manufacturers start stock taking because they have to. They continue because it saves money. Regular stock take reveals opportunities to cut costs and improve operations you'd never spot otherwise. Here are the core benefits. First is improved cash flow management. Money sitting in unused inventory can't help grow your business. Stock taking shows you which materials have been gathering dust for months, eating up storage space, and tying up capital. Once you identify these slow movers in dead stock, you can liquidate them and put that cash toward equipment upgrades or expanding into new markets such as e-commerce. Stock taking also improves customer satisfaction. Regular stock taking eliminates credibility-damaging surprises. Imagine your biggest e-commerce client calls on Monday morning, asking about their 500-unit order for month-end delivery. You check the system and confidently confirm the timeline. 3 weeks later, production discovers that those components were consumed last month, but were never updated in the stock count. Now you're making difficult phone calls about delays that could derail their online product launch. The next benefit is better production planning. Accurate stock taking gives production planners the real data they need to create production schedules that actually work. Your production scheduler makes plans based on what the computer says you have in stock. When those numbers are wrong, everything falls apart. Workers stand idle while purchasing scrambles to find emergency suppliers at premium prices. And lastly, stock taking ensures regulatory compliance. Good stock-taking habits help ensure your records are accurate to keep officials happy and your business out of trouble. Tax season arrives and your accountant needs exact inventory figures for year-end reports. Or the FDA inspector shows up unannounced, asking about batch tracking records. Both situations become nightmares without proper documentation. How to conduct a stock take. Most small manufacturers approach their first stock take with unnecessary complexity. Yes, stock taking requires planning and organization, but the process itself is straightforward. The first step is pre-stock take planning. Figure out what you're actually going to count before you start wandering around with a tablet. Maybe you need a full facility count, Or perhaps you're focusing on high-value items that disappeared last quarter. Pick a time when production can afford the interruption, like between big orders or during a scheduled maintenance window. Electronic digital records are more reliable and accurate than old-style paper forms. Digital inventory tools are not only faster and easier to use, but also ensure that all numbers are readable. Ensure your team knows who counts what, and make sure everyone knows the difference between good parts and damaged inventory. Track down those barcode scanners that someone borrowed 6 months ago and test them before the counting day arrives. Without them, it could be difficult to take stock of all your inventory. Here's what to do during the count process. Choose one area to begin and work through your facility methodically. This prevents double counting and ensures nothing gets overlooked. Use the same counting approach for similar materials throughout the process. Bulk chemicals get weighed, finished products get counted by units, and sheet metal gets measured by square footage. Double-check expensive inventory with a second counter. Consider using ABC analysis to distinguish between high and lower priority items easily. A mistake on costly components can throw off your entire financial picture. Mark down exactly what you find in each location, not what your computer records suggest should be there. Note damaged goods and quantity differences immediately while the details are fresh in your mind. After a stock take, make sure to do a post-count analysis. Now comes the moment of truth when you compare what you counted against what your inventory management system thinks you have. Start with the biggest differences first, because a missing piece of furniture is more important than 3 extra screws. Some variances will have obvious explanations, like unreported shipments or production usage that never got recorded. Don't just blindly adjust your system to match the stock count. Look into major differences to determine if counting errors occurred or if materials actually went missing. After confirming the accuracy of your numbers, update the system and develop strategies to avoid similar issues in future counts. Common stock-taking methods. No single counting approach works for every manufacturer. A small job shop with 15 employees faces different challenges than a facility running 3 shifts with multiple production lines. Here are some of the most common stock-taking methods. Annual stock take or periodic stock counts. Many smaller manufacturers pick a quiet weekend or holiday to count everything in their facility. Everything comes to a standstill while teams work through each area. This delivers excellent accuracy since materials aren't moving around during the count, but shutting down for 2 days costs money when customers are waiting for orders. Cycle counting. Smart manufacturers count different sections of their inventory on a rotating schedule throughout the year. High-value items might get counted monthly, while less critical materials get verified quarterly. This approach keeps your records accurate without shutting down operations, though it requires more coordination to track which areas have been counted recently. Wall-to-wall inventory. This method involves counting everything in your facility during a single coordinated effort. Teams work simultaneously across different areas to complete the entire count within a compressed time frame. You'll need to coordinate multiple counting teams and temporarily halt most operations, but you get a complete snapshot of your entire inventory position. Spot checks and random counts. Sometimes you just need to verify specific items that seem problematic rather than counting everything in sight. Maybe expensive components disappeared after last week's shipment, or certain bin locations keep showing discrepancies during regular counts. Quick targeted verification helps investigate these issues without disrupting your entire operation, though spot checks won't reveal broader systematic problems. What's the role of stock taking in inventory management? Stock taking is the reality check that keeps your entire inventory system honest. Everything else you do with materials management depends on having accurate starting numbers. Foundation for inventory control systems. Your computer might claim you have 500 widgets in stock, but stock taking tells you whether that number reflects reality. All those fancy reorder calculations and safety stock formulas only work when they're built on accurate data. Sure, perpetual inventory systems help keep records accurate for longer, but without regular physical verification, you're essentially making purchasing and production decisions based on fictional numbers that drift further from reality over time. Performance measurement and improvement. Stock taking shows you where your inventory management breaks down. Maybe supplier A consistently delivers 5% less than ordered, or storage area B keeps losing materials to damage or misplacement. You'll only notice these patterns through consistent physical counts that expose the gaps between records and reality. Understanding these trends helps you solve systemic issues instead of repeatedly managing their consequences. Integration with purchasing and production. Production planning falls apart when your material availability data is wrong. Without knowing actual inventory levels, purchasing operates on assumptions rather than facts. Accurate inventory data allows purchasing and production departments to coordinate effectively on material orders, production timing, and buffer stock needs. So, how can you improve your stock-taking efficiency? Most manufacturers start stock-taking with good intentions, but quickly discover that wandering around the warehouse takes forever and produces questionable results. The secret lies in implementing systems and processes that speed up counting while improving accuracy. The first step to improving stock-taking efficiency is doing regular stock takes. Establishing consistent counting schedules prevents small discrepancies from becoming major problems. Consider these approaches for different business needs. Monthly counts for high-value or fast-moving inventory that affect production schedules. Quarterly verification for moderate-value items that don't change rapidly. Annual comprehensive counts for slow-moving materials and spare parts. And finally, ABC, analysis prioritization, that focuses frequent attention on items with the biggest financial impact. Regular practice also improves your team's counting skills and helps refine processes through repetition. Barcode systems can also help you improve stock taking. Automated identification dramatically reduces counting time while improving accuracy. These could include a barcode system, either standalone or built into your inventory software, or an RFID overhaul of the warehouse. Key benefits include elimination of manual data entry errors that plague handwritten count sheets, real-time integration with inventory management systems for immediate updates, faster counting speed, since scanning takes seconds compared to writing part numbers, standardized identification that works across different storage locations. Scanner and label printer costs are generally recovered quickly through the efficiency gains they provide during stock taking, especially if you opt for inventory software that includes smartphone scanning. Optimize warehouse layout. Physical organization makes counting faster and more accurate. To improve stock taking, focus on these improvements. Logical storage arrangements that group similar items together. Clear labeling systems that identify storage locations and part numbers. Accessibility improvements that let counting teams reach items without moving other materials. And finally, standardized storage methods that make quantities easy to verify visually. In addition to better stock taking, well-organized facilities also reduce the time spent searching for misplaced items during regular operations. Finally, you can improve your stock taking by using inventory tracking systems. Modern inventory software simplifies stock taking while providing better visibility over your entire stocking process. Look for these capabilities in an inventory tracking system. Real-time variance reporting that highlights discrepancies immediately. Integration with existing business systems to eliminate duplicate data entry. Exception reporting that flags unusual activities or potential problems. And lastly, digital count sheets, accessible on mobile devices or tablets. The right system transforms stock taking from a manual chore into a strategic business process that improves overall inventory management. Why is inventory management software important for manufacturers and distributors? Manual stock taking of physical inventory only gets you so far. Growing small manufacturers and distributors eventually reach a breaking point where paper-based Excel sheet counting can't handle their expanding operations and product complexity. Here's how they can benefit from an inventory management software solution. Inventory management software automates counting and data collection. Software transforms stock taking from a dreaded quarterly event into something that happens naturally during daily work. Workers use barcode scanning to track stock items as they move materials around the stockroom, and incoming material counts are input straight into the central inventory software through internet kiosks on the warehouse floor. This keeps counts updated without special counting sessions that shut down production. Software can connect inventory management to other business processes. Cloud-based inventory management systems talk directly to production, sales, and procurement in ways that spreadsheets never could. When materials run low, purchasing gets notified immediately rather than discovering shortages during the next manual count. Production schedulers see actual material quantities instead of relying on spreadsheet guesswork that might be weeks out of date. Patterns emerge showing which vendors ship consistently short or which warehouse areas experience mysterious shrinkage. Everything is continuously tracked within the same data ecosystem. Before we finish this episode, here are some things to consider when implementing inventory management software. Many small business owners assume that powerful software equals complex implementation. Modern systems avoid this trap by focusing on simplicity and gradual adoption instead of time-consuming overhauls. Setup often involves importing existing data and training a few key users first, rather than overhauling entire business processes. Most solutions connect easily with Xero or similar accounting packages already in use. The result is an efficient system that can be brought online in a matter of days, not weeks. When stock taking works properly, the benefits spread throughout your entire operation. Purchasing makes more informed decisions, production runs more predictably through better forecasting capabilities, and customers stop calling about delayed orders caused by surprise material shortages. That wraps up this episode of the MRP Easy podcast. Thanks for tuning in. For more information, go to mrpeasy.com. See you next time.